So thank you for coming. This is my second year in a row here at lovely Miami and SuperCon. And, like 100% humidity makes me love all of you cosplayers who are the trek from the hotel to the convention probably kills you. Just please tell me you have like an AC strapped on your back, just IVing into your face. So this is a Q&A, and I think I've got 45 minutes an hour or something? 45 minutes. Oh, yay. Before we start, however, I need your help. Of course they do. It's not that hard, I promise. I have an individual mission for all of you. No. I have, how many fans of Steins Gate are here? That's awesome. The rest of you suck. Well, no. Steins Gate, let me just plug that show real quickly. I love Steins Gate. If you haven't seen it or if you know nothing about it, oh my god, watch it and become a better person. It is an awesome show. I got to write the adaptations along with Patrick Seitz, who you probably know as Germany from Italia. Anyway, the show takes place in a real location in Japan called Akihabara, which is a suburb of Tokyo. They don't call it a suburb, but it's like a prefecture outside of Tokyo. And it's kind of like their Silicon Valley. It's really cool. The show actually took real places from Akihabara throughout and used them as settings. So like, actually, oh, that place exists. One of my very dearest friends currently lives there and is constantly sending me pictures of like, look, here's the K-book store, look, here's the shrine. I'm like, oh my god, today is his birthday. And just to be special, I want to send him a crowd of strangers saying happy birthday. So what I'm going to do is on the count of 3, I want all of you to scream as loud as you can, happy birthday, Brandon. His name is Brandon, all right? So, are we ready? Yeah! Oh, my phone is not. I talk too much, my phone's like, shut up. Okay. And 1. Wait, that's it. Excuse me, just a moment while I figure this out. It's a smartphone because it's smarter than me. Alright, 1, 2, 3. Let me make sure that's over. You have to get a second take. For safety. I know this is fascinating to all of you. Like, I waited in line to help him with his phone. What did I sign up for? Awesome, that's totally gonna make his day. Okay, so I could sit down, but why do I want to sit down? I don't want to sit down. So this is a Q&A. And before we get started, the way this works, you'll just kind of raise your hand when I may pick on you, I may not. Please, if I don't pick on you, don't be offended. It's not because I'm like, dude, I hate you. There's only so many questions I can answer, and it's usually my own fault because I take about 15 minutes to answer one question because I'm a voice actor. I was making this job. Couple of rules I'd like to set out, though, before we begin the questioning. I like random questions, and I like questions that give me a chance to kind of ramble and riff on a particular theme. So you can ask me what's my favorite this, that, or the other, what's my favorite thing about this show, what's my favorite thing about that, but I won't answer because I hate the favorites game. I will answer, but I'll give you the same answer for every question. So rethink it, if you want. You can ask it, I'm not going to like throw my bottle of water at you. But also, no requests in terms of like anything that requires me. Like, I'm not gonna. Please don't have me call your friend. And it's nothing. Oh my god,
oh my god, we give a round of applause for this lovely gentleman on the board. My hero. Yay! So I'll have a voice for the rest of the weekend. So, yes, no requests that require me to come to you or you to come to me. This is a fire hazard as it is. So, let's keep things safe. Other than that, pretty much anything goes. I don't care. Now, I don't know that this is not this is not like a family. This is supposed to be family friendly, but I will occasionally let curse words fly. So, if any of you are offended by that, I do apologize. I will try to keep it down to a minimum. It's hot. I cuss. I can't help it. I can't properly explain myself in this climate. Give me the phone, I'll answer for you. Hello? So, who's got a question to start us off? I see you with the Italian shirt, right there in the center with the glasses. Project, my dear.
If you could be like in any of the worlds that you voice act in, like the setting-wise, which one would you pick?
Ooh, that's a good one. See, that's the kind of question I'm talking about, everyone. Now I have to spend 5 minutes thinking of how I'm going to BS my way through this answer. There's a ton of them. I think probably, though, because it's sort of based in reality and because it happens to be a historical time period that I'm very, very fond of, it's a toss-up between the Victorian London as you experience in Black Butler. Imagine that. And the medieval Germany of Spice and Wolf. It's so much more muted. Yay! That show, that's amazing. So I really love everything about those worlds. I mean, I kind of grew up being a very literary kid. I always had my nose in a book, and a lot of the great Western novels happened to be written by Victorians by some strange fluke. That was just a really strong period of time. There's about 150 years there where a lot of English people were writing really good books. And I usually read all of them countless times, so that was kind of my imaginary world to begin with when I was a kid. So I'm very, very familiar with the fog-enshrouded cobblestone streets and the carriage and the smell of horse dung and the fish and like, home. And the same thing with medieval Germany. I just love the whole idea. I think I love the idea of Lawrence's medieval Germany because he's an itinerant peddler, and at that point in time, most people did not leave their house, or they didn't leave their villages. They spent their lives rather secluded with a very limited sort of perimeter of experience. But the traveling peddlers went all over the world, so they were kind of like the adventurers. They were the equivalent of the doctor in their day. So yes, the doctor. So I would have loved to have been given, because had I grown up in like medieval or Renaissance Europe, I would definitely have been a traveler. I would have been the guy with the itchy feet walking around and being like, yes, I'm from yonder. I like being from yonder. I'm good at it. So thank you, very good question. Next one. I see a hand right there. You have a little bracelet on.
I have 2 questions.
You have 2 questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
My first question.
I'll answer half of each one.
My first question, between Sebastian and Kyoya, those are my 2 favorite characters to play. Which one are you like the most personality-wise?
Well, let's see. I don't eat souls, but I do try to be suave. I do wear glasses, and I do keep little notebooks, little dossiers on all my associates, but I'm not rich. Can we make them a sort of a hybrid, and I'll be like Sebastian? Or Celia? That sounds better. I'll get back to you on that. I like to think I'm probably more like Kyoya, or at least was in high school, because I ran with a crazy group of friends in the drama club, which is a lot like a host club for those of you. Right? Oh, we're doing a bake sale and we're all in drag. What? And I was kind of I don't want to say the sane one, because none of us were sane, but I was slightly less crazy. Only slightly less crazy than my friends. And actually, my best friend in high school was this crazy blonde who I was totally in love with, and it was like, oh, yay! And he was constantly getting us in trouble and cooking up schemes that I would constantly have to be like, oh. Okay, I guess we're gonna vandalize the dressing room. Let me find the paint. So it's on sale. So I kind of played that role in our group of friends. I was the one, the mother, I guess, the mother hen. As far as Sebastian, I think the closest thing that brings me to Sebastian is when I was a kid, I wanted to be a butler because I thought the idea was really, really cool. I'm like, I just want to be a butler. I want to be the man behind the great man. And then someone's like, well, that's not a thing anymore. What is it? Okay, well then I want to be Santa Claus. So I'd have to say Kyoya. I'd have to say more like Kyoya. Certainly like him in high school. Without his money or his looks, though. Let me say that. Oh, and you had another question. That's right. What's your second question?
Can you please say Sebastian's catchphrase?
He has like 3 of them. Which one? Like catchphrase.
I'm one of the butlers.
Well, first of all, is that an order? Well, you have to say, that's an order. You say, Sebastian, I order you to say, come on, you know how to do it. You're like, yeah, do it, come on. CL would be staring daggers at me, come on. Come on, so, all right. Well, after all, I'm simply one hell of a butler. Wait. What?
Please repeat that.
Oh, you said please. That's not how you talk to Sebastian.
Please.
You order me, please? You're gonna have a long talk. What do we say? No.
Now.
Well, after all, I'm simply one hell of a butler. Okay. Thank you. God, don't make me say it again! Please, you'll get sick of it, I promise. Doctor! Hello!
If you could trade places with any actor, alive or dead, who would it be?
Me. God, I so want my life. I love my life. No, I would probably, oh God, I don't know. Someone hot. Someone even hotter. Matt Smith. I'd be Matt Smith for oh no, because then I couldn't make out with myself. If I was John Barrowman, I would never leave the house. I would just stand in front of a mirror all day going, my God, look at me. I could do this for hours. I got to meet John Barrowman once upon a time. It's a really funny story. I'll have to tell them they up hell. No, it's actually not a dirty story, but he's actually very charming. Let me just say, for those of you that have never had the chance to meeting John Barrowman, if you ever have the chance, treat yourself. Just be warned that Captain Jack is actually a much tamer version of the real John Barrowman. He is a funny man. I see a yellow sleeve there, red vest, yes. You're like, yay. What's going on? What's the question?
If you could hang out with one of the characters you do for a whole day, who would it be?
Oh my God! Without question, Isaac and Miria from Baccano. And that's hard because there's a lot of fun characters, but come on! I mean, if you were with Isaac anywhere, it would become like a homeroom pizza party. Like, it's crazy. Let's go rob a train. Let's go push this kid off of this carousel. You know, like, that's the same thing, right? Oh, let's do that. Like, life is a big party. I think. How many Baccano fans do we have in here? How many? Now, of those people that just raised your hand, how many of you are also Doctor Who fans? Ooh, wow, you're like. I was going to say that's proof of civilization, but never mind. I tend to think of Isaac and Miria as being kind of really dunderheaded Time Lords in a way, especially by the end of it. They're kind of prototypical. Isaac and Miria in a TARDIS would be amazing.
No, the one I'm not holding the camera.
Okay, another question. It's the one from the back of the review there in the front.
How did you get started in voice acting? Like, how did you get it?
I was tricked. True story. Let's see, I've told the story before, let me kind of try to condense it. I was an actor when I was very young. I kind of grew up on the stage and, did a lot of, I was always kind of on. And, but when the time came for college and for me to decide what I wanted to do with my life, I decided not to pursue acting because I thought it takes a very courageous person to jump into something unknown like that. And I'm not a very courageous person, so I'm like, let's flip a coin. Oh look, not acting, let's do this. So I had a very different career path for a long time. In my early 20s I actually worked in marketing, which I hated because I wasn't very good at it. It paid the bills, but it wasn't very fulfilling. I mean, that's not to say that marketing is a bad job, it just wasn't a good one for me. And, but then I was, doing my thing. I hadn't acted in like 10 years. At all in 10 years, when a friend of mine that happens to work at Funimation, Chris Bevins, was like, we were fellow comic book nerds together. I'd known him through mutual friends, and we're like, oh my God, Batman, Iron Man, yay, Green Lantern. And he spent many evenings sleeping on my couch. So we were good friends, and I'd known him for a couple of years when he said, hey, I'm working on a show called Samurai 7. And I'm having trouble casting this one part, and I just need some people to come in. I'd love if you would come in and read for me on this part, just to audition. You know, I know you haven't really done this kind of acting before, but you have an acting background, and it's been a while. Why don't you give it a shot? I'm like, oh my God, that's... No. Because the idea terrified me. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to make a complete ass of myself. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I backed off of it. I said, oh, thank you, but no thank you. And he was like, oh, okay, well, you suck, but never mind. Following day, he called me again. Hey, so I'm working on this show. And we proceeded to have the exact same conversation as though the prior day's conversation had not occurred. And I was like, what? And this went on for 2 weeks. Each time he got scarier and scarier and scarier until, hey, I'm working on this show became, you're coming in if I have to kill you. If I have to kill you, resurrect you from the dead, and get your voice in this damn databank, you're doing it. So I came in reluctantly because I was afraid for my kneecaps. And it was like a 4-hour long audition. I had no idea how this worked. I'd never been in a booth before. All my experience was stage. So I walked in and we're actually matching animation, and I'm looking at a dub script, which is an unusual kind of script if you're used to working with stage plays and things like that. It's nothing like a book. It is very different, and there's all sorts of terms that you're like, what the hell does that mean? What does CTREAC mean? Oh, clenched teeth react? Like, weird. And you have to you have to absorb all this stuff, and dude also match the animation, and we're playing with his voice, this character he had me in mind for. And at 4 hours we were done, and I'm thinking, oh, I have sucked. Thank God he will leave me alone now. So I get out of the booth, and he has me sign some what I think are non-disclosure agreements. So you've seen stuff that's not been released yet, so they always make you sign what are called NDAs. And as I'm signing them, not reading them very closely, my first mistake, I glibly said to him, how the hell do you get people to get anything done in the studio if it takes you 4 hours to audition every single person? He's like, no, it doesn't. The first 10 minutes was your audition. We've actually just recorded the first 6 episodes, and you've just signed a contract, so be back here next Sunday. You're an actor now. So that is how I became an actor. And then from then on, I got more work with Funimation, and then I started directing for them as well, and then writing, and so yeah, that's how I was tricked into it. True story. Thank you, Bevins. Chris Bevins, a beautiful, beautiful human being, is responsible for unleashing me upon the world. It's his fault, not me. I see you. You're like pointing to someone. You, whoever you're pointing at. Huh?
I have 2 questions.
Oh, let's put this side of the room. I have 2 questions?
Yes.
And a partridge in a pear tree. Go on, sweetie. One more moment?
They give it to an another.
I really I got through the nun scene, let me just say that. Enjoyed it. It was a fun day. It was a fun day, but I have to be professional, so I'm like, all right, I'm doing this to a nun. All right, Ian, here we go. Oh, you're pointing. Oh, and you got another question as well?
Will you marry my mom?
Darling, I'm sorry, I'm spoken for. She's like, no. She's back there, no. Thanks, Mom. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? That's adorable. You just want me to be like your stepdad. That's weird. And not at all creepy. I love you, you're adorable. Captain Jack, I gotta ask you a question.
Why aren't you the Man of Steel? Why didn't they cast you for that?
I don't know. Where were you 2 years ago? Should I be the Man of Steel? True story, I went... This happened, so this is like my ego is not big enough. I walked into a store to get some clothes the other day at this outlet mall near my house, and I'm like, oh, I want this shirt, because I'd like to buy some new clothes before I go traveling. And I walked in, and the woman looked at me, and she was like, oh my God, you look like the guy that plays Superman. I'm like, really? Really? Like, I don't know how to take that compliment, so I was like, yeah, that's right, I am. She was like, okay, never mind, illusion gone. Thank you. I would love to be Man of Steel. I would much prefer to be Thor. I like me some Superman, don't get me wrong, but Thor and me go way back. Way back. I see a set of blue ears at the very back of the room. Yes, you just pointed to yourself.
What's it like working with the other Fullmetal Alchemist cast?
What's it like working with the other who? Fullmetal Alchemist cast. Oh, dicks. No, it's really fun. Understand when it's something a lot of people don't know, but when we record these things, we don't get to work with each other. We record all of our stuff independently because for timing reasons, because we're working with existing animation, it is impossible to get 5 or 6 people in a room. First of all, there's not enough room for all of us. Could you imagine like me and Brendan and all of us like in front of a mic running like this? It'd be really uncomfortable and we would smell. But even if there was room, because it's not prelay, which is when they do the voice first and then animate around it, we're working with existing animation on stuff like Full Metal, so that we have to actually match flaps. And to have 5 people in a room all trying to match timing is almost impossible, so it's easier to just do it one at a time. Luckily, when it came to doing Full Metal Alchemist, I was usually the last one to record, because a lot of people in that show had moved out to LA, and so when Mike McFarlane, the show's director, brought them back in, he would get them in first, just for timing reasons, and then I would come in afterwards. So I had a lot of really wonderful performances to work off of in the booth, because they had already laid down track. True story, the first time I laid down track as Scar in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Now understand, the first Full Metal Alchemist, the original anime, I was a huge fan of, but that wrapped before I was a voice actor, so I didn't get to be part of it. However, I was like Soldier A or something, and some guy that like says freeze when he gets shot and dies immediately in Conqueror of Shambhala. And I thought, oh my god, yay! And that was a red letter day for me as a voice actor. Oh my god, Full Metal Alchemist, oh my god! So 5, 6 years later, Mike McFarlane was like, so Damian Clark can't reprise the role for a number of reasons, and why don't you take a crack at playing Scar in this version? I'm like, because the idea, I'm a huge fanboy of that show. I love it. I think it's absolutely remarkable. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And we talked a lot about it. Like, we had this technique to get the voice where he would hold me down and punch me repeatedly. And but my very first line as Scar, as I recall it, is me in the booth saying, "Foolish alchemists who turn their backs on the ways of God shall be punished," followed by which happened between takes every time. Like the first 2 weeks recording Scar, I'm like, and Mike's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm Scar, I can't help it. I'm doing So that was what it was like working with that. And Mike is a joy to work with. Mike is one of my dearest friends. I think he's a remarkable human being, and he's a wonderful director, one of the most talented directors I've ever worked with. And so yeah, I have a lot of good memories from that show. Thank you. Yes, you keep calm, and what does it say? Oh, keep calm on the doctor. Very nice, very nice. I like it.
So, there's the 5-2-minute clips that came with the OVA. And there was one that came with Bradley, that you guys said your original names.
Oh God.
How was that done?
Very carefully. That was like they had the script, and I just had to like do the whole. I don't even remember all of them. There's something like 35 names or something. I just remember that it ends with Zippy Zappy Angel Eyes, like Zippy Zappy Angel Eyes, and then of course they speed us up, so we're not actually talking that fast because no one can talk that fast. So magic. He was talking about magic. Audio. You're holding up a Sebastian plushie.
I order you to speak in your Sebastian voice for the rest of the Q&A.
Oh God, you suck. This happened last year, didn't it? Were you the one that last year? Oh, God damn it. It's okay, I love doing this voice. I was at a convention about a year ago, and I just decided to start doing my British voice, because I tend to fall into it rather easily. And it was the day after the concert, everyone had gone home, and the hotel had gone back to a state we like to call normal. And I wasn't really ready to go back to normal yet, so I thought I'm going to talk like this the rest of the day and just see if it works on everyday people and not just congoers, who are my favourite people in the world, precisely because this voice works on them. Proof, however, that you can take anything in a British voice and you instantly go up 5 points on the hot scale. Because, without the British voice, I'm maybe a 5 or a 6 in my clothes and low lighting, but with the British, I'm like, 10. I don't care. Steal my car, burn my house down, I don't care, just say my name. So I walked up to the concierge desk in this hotel and I started just asking questions in this voice, and she just goes, no, what is that? Stop. What is that coming out of her mouth? And I was like, what are you talking about? It's just, it's the accent, it throws a lot of people off, I'm really, really sorry. Are you having trouble understanding? She says, no, it's just, no, oh my God, Deborah, come here, Deborah. Say something. Hello, Deborah. My name's Michael. She's like, no. See, if you were my boyfriend and you talk like that to anybody else, we would have problems. I'm thinking, I am never going to stop doing this voice. So, all right. You have a question there. Yeah, it's wild and young. You have 2? My God. Oh, yes. Okay, go ahead. Everyone's like, I have 18 questions.
Do you watch all the anime that you voice act?
Most of them. Sometimes you turn around so quickly that you don't have a chance to watch all of it, but most of them, and the really big ones, especially if I've played like a main character or something, I'll watch it because I feel you have to really sort of hone your technique. So yes.
And what's the most influential anime you've seen that you've been in?
The most influential that I've been in? Oh my God. That's a tough question. I don't know that I've been in one that's been terribly influential as others. I think the single most influential anime that I had nothing to do with, except as a fanboy, it's one of my favorites, and this will get cheers, I'm sure, is Cowboy Bebop. And let me tell you, I having met and I'm very good friends now with people that have worked on that show, they're all incredibly talented. That show was, for anybody in the business will tell you this, that show was the beginning of our idea that a dub could be art, that a dub could be real and good and valid on its own terms. Cowboy Bebop sort of started that all. There were many great things before, of course, but when Cowboy Bebop came along and just broke through that glass ceiling, so to speak, and everyone was like, oh my God, dubs are amazing. Oh my God. Yeah, so good stuff. I think the most influential show I've happened to be in is probably Steins Gate, but